Hello, welcome to your instructional video about how to perform a 4-point critique. Now, a 4-point critique is just your your time, your chance to really learn how to read art. And and we do have to kind of look at art in a special way, and we read it in a certain way so that we can understand it better. And so we're going to be using this form in class when we have a 4-point critique, and you will just glue it into your notebook. You can draw on it and then glue it, or you can glue it in and then draw on it. Whatever makes you happy is fine with me, as long as it makes it in your notebook so you can get the points for it. So you won't have it printed out like this. This is my Google slide that will be up on the board when you come in. I'll also link it in the Google Classroom in case you miss. We do one and you miss it. So it'll always be available digitally. I just printed it out for the ease of this lesson. So your slide will always have some different information. It will have the name of the sculpture if it's available, the name of the artist if it's available, and the years that the artist worked on the piece or the year that the piece was finished if it's available. Now, sculpture is vast and dark and wide, and sometimes these key pieces of information are not available. And if I can't get it for you, then you'll just have to write unknown in that part. So, with our 4-point critique, I'm looking at this piece. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start filling in the information. So up here in the right hand corner, the title is Balloon Dog. And then time or year. So like time would be like if it was a really old sculpture, it's from the Stone Age or from the Egyptian era or something like that. Sometimes I'll give you a time frame for when this piece is from, but if it's more current, I'll give you a year or range of years. So the artist worked on this piece from 1994 to 2000. He actually made a series, but for all purposes, that's his creation time. And the artist that made this is Jeff Koons. So you're going to have to look on the slide. Sometimes I mix things up and don't put them in the same order, so you might have to play detective. Don't really worry about the number of the slide. I will put those in different order. I won't give them all to you in the same order every time. So don't worry about what number it is in the slideshow. Okay, so once we have that information filled in, we're going to draw it. Now, I am not looking for great artistic skills. What we're doing is we're taking a moment to really look at it, to recognize the shape and the form and all of those things that we're seeing. And a lot of times when we take the time to draw something, we can demonstrate that we actually see it. We actually might see more when we're drawing it than we would have if we just looked at it. Even if we thought we got a pretty good look at it, we might not have. So I'm drawing this repetition of ovals, noticing, I'm recognizing that there is a repetition of the same shape over and over, and I'm figuring that out from drawing it, really, just how much repetition there is in the shapes here. So I'm not looking for a perfect image, right? Mine's not perfect, but I looked at it and I thought about the shapes that were happening, and I tried my best to draw the sculpture. So now that I've drawn it, I'm going to go through the 4 steps of critiquing something. Now, an art critique is essentially like a reading, right? When we read a book, we critique a piece of art. And when we're critiquing it, we're not picking it apart and being like mean about it. It's just we're taking it apart to understand it better. So when I'm describing it, I'm talking about things I can see. So I would say this is blue. Um, you can't really tell from the picture. There's a little shadow of a person back there, but I know that this piece is large. It's a big piece of art. It's shiny. It looks like a child's toy, right? Or party favor, right? Um, okay, so these are the things that I can see, right? Balloon, right? Looks like a balloon. So describe is just things that you can see, okay? If I hadn't seen one of these in person, I wouldn't know how huge they are, but they're pretty big. So I can write that because I've seen it. So number 2 is analyze the elements and principles at play. So when you're here in the classroom, there are posters. On the back wall is the principles of design. And on the front wall are the elements of art. And you can look at those and kind of compare and see, what am I seeing here? So I've got a printout of the elements and principles here. And we can kind of go through and see what are we seeing in this sculpture here. So I'm just going to fold this over so that we can see both the elements and the sculpture at the same time. Okay, so we're asking ourselves, what's really important in what we're seeing? Is it line? Maybe. What about shape and form? Yeah, form's important. Like it's a sculpture. So here's an easy answer. Form is always important when it comes to sculpture. Okay, does the color seem to matter? Well, the color is very vibrant here, so I'm going to write color. Value? I don't know. Do you think value? What about texture? I think texture is huge here because it's reflective and shiny, and that changes how we view the sculpture. So I'm going to add texture. Even the lack of texture is texture, right? We have this really shiny, smooth surface, and that itself is a texture. So we got that. And space and perspective, it might be important if you were there viewing it in person. I think it would be, but just seeing a picture, maybe not so much. There's no pattern here. There's no movement. However, we do have, where is it? I guess movement would be here. We should also have repetition, which I guess falls under movement and rhythm. I have a poster for repetition in my classroom. So we have a repetition of the same shape happening over and over and over and over and over again. And so I would say one of the huge players here is repetition, which creates a sense of rhythm and movement when we're seeing the same shape over and over again. I So I would just kind of go through and think about what is really at play here. For instance, emphasis isn't really at play. One thing isn't more important than the other things. And balance isn't really at play here either. So sometimes not everything's working, and that's okay. It's what is the artist using to create their piece? What elements and principles of art are at play? So you're just going to have to go through and look at the posters and figure out what you like. I can get a picture printed off for you to put in your journal too. That might help you. But I don't like this one. I'll get another one because I want you to have repetition. It is super important. Okay, so after You have analyzed the elements and principles at play. You're going to ask yourself, what is the message of this artwork? What do you think the artist is trying to get their viewer to feel or to think or to experience? Um, when they made this, all art sends some kind of message, whether it's intended or not intended. What do you think Jeff Koons was trying to say here? So I would write what I think. So this is just my interpretation, but I said, I think that we are reminded that what happens in our childhood is big. Something like a small balloon animal at a party might seem really small and inconsequential, but a lot of things that happen in childhood are small and inconsequential and then actually can change the trajectory of our life, right? So that's the message I got. I haven't talked to Jeff Koons. I'm not exactly sure what he was hoping to send with the message of his dog, um, his balloon dog. But that's what I got from it. And then you're gonna judge it, right? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Before you judge it, make sure that you read the information that I've put on the slide so you know everything that is available to you to know about the sculpture. So here it says, love him or hate him, Jeff Koons is responsible for some of the most memorable art of the 20th century. In 2013, his balloon dog, an orange, made of stainless steel with a transparent coating, set a record for a living artist when it sold at Christie's for $58.4 million in 2013. Part of a series that transforms a playful child's party favor into a monumental sculpture. Koons also created other versions in blue, magenta, red, and yellow. Okay, so I've learned from this blurb that this piece of art is worth a ton of money, and it's been super successful. And so, by society standards, this is a success, and that's interesting. It's really cool that he made so much money off of such a simple sculpture. But I'm gonna say yes. Why is it successful to me? It reminded me that little things are big when you're a kid. It's okay to answer with your truth when you're doing a 4 point critique. If you don't like something, it's okay. But whether or not you think that it's successful, you must answer why or why not. You have to always support your answer. So now that I have this all filled out, I will open up my book and grab some glue, and I will just fix it right there. A good thing to do is to date it so that I know that you got the right one on the right date. Sometimes things get messed up. So I would just write my date up here, and then I'm all set and ready to do the next thing. So once you've finished your notes and gotten them approved, please go ahead and do your 4 point critique of balloons.